Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thank you for being here at TrailCon. I hope it's been a good use of everybody's time. I hope you've made new connections. I hope you've been inspired and taken in all this great energy in between Broken Arrow and Western States. It is Western States Week, the best week of the year, and what a privilege it is to all be here together. And what a privilege also it is to introduce you to the greatest trail runner in the history of time. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say. Please welcome Mr. Kilian Jornet.
Thank you, guys.
How cool is this? Holy smokes. So we're sort of treating this as a live taping of the Freetrail Podcast. Somebody suggested to me that we use this as an opportunity to explore the three faces of Kilian Jornet: the amazing athlete, the Kilian Jornet Foundation, and of course, NNormal, the brand that you helped to co-found. I think we have a lot to talk about here, exploring who you are in three dimensions. Kilian, we really appreciate your time. Welcome back to Olympic Valley ahead of your third Western States 100, 14 years after you won. First question to you as we launch into talking about Kilian Jornet, the athlete. What made 2025 the right time for you to return to Western States?
Well, no, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure, and it's crazy how it's been growing. Like after 14 years, then it was nothing happening until the 5 minutes before the race. It was kind of quiet all the week, and now it's amazing to see so many runners and fans of the sport all the week here, from Broken Arrow to Western. So I don't know. I seriously don't know why I came back. It's probably in autumn I did a long hike in the Alps. And after that, I was a bit looking what could be fun to do. And it's kind of the challenge that it motivated me, that it's probably the race that I would hate the most, that it's flat and hot. And it's I like steep things and technical terrain and cold weather. And that's why, because it's a challenge, and that motivated me to train differently, to do it again, because I have very bad memories and I want to live to change, if 15 years after I can have good memories of the race.
The first time you were here was in 2010, the year that was beautifully captured in the film Unbreakable. You struggled to a third place finish in that event. 15 years later, do you ever reflect on the impact that film has had on our sport in general, and maybe even on your career specifically?
Yeah, sure. At that point, I don't think we saw it that film was going to have this impact, but it really built a foundation of how trail has evolved and the culture of the sport, and this generational passing from the late 70s to 2010, so that it was kind of the same spirit and people were running from the same reasons, and it built this cultural piece that it brought the values of the sport until today. And I think that's it's been fundamental on that if the film probably was brought from another angle, more on performance or more on the battle between the athletes, maybe it would shape the sport in another way. And something that is good today is that trail running is still a sport where runners are mostly passionate about going to the outdoors and going to explore these landscapes through and themselves, through the pain or the challenges that we put in front. But it's more about this connection with the nature, and that's beautifully shown in the film. And it's been fundamental, I think, on how the sport has been growing, and especially here in North America.
What is your relationship with competition now, Kilian? The video that you put out a couple of weeks ago gave a front row seat to your fans as to where you are in your life. You're, of course, a father of 3 at this point. You've done everything there is to do in the sport. I still feel the competitive spirit in you. How do you relate to the idea of competition at this point in your career?
Yeah, I love racing, and it just because it's such an easy game. If you put kids together, they would try to win and to who is the first kid to reach the tree or to reach the fence or whatever. Like, and it's very in our nature. And I think what it changed that probably before, like I was more motivated about the kind to try to achieve like some goals, like I want to win this race or I want to win this championship, and that it's a very easy way to motivate yourself through those goals, but it's also like a prison that you put yourself on. And today, like I think I had the luck to achieve all these races that I wanted to win. So it's more I have more freedom on the way that, like coming to Western States, probably it's not very smart for me if I want to perform well, but that's what motivates me. It's because it's a challenge, and competition for me today is just like that. It's try to challenge on the preparation to see if it can be different, and then just like it's nice to see that even with aging, like I'm able to perform better than before. So it's just like but then it's just for the fun of it. I love training. I love to see how much I can push, and most of it, like it's the lifestyle of training that I love. And then like races are very easy carrots that you put in front of you to keep motivated somehow.
So speaking of preparation, one of the things that I think is underappreciated about you, obviously we all know you're such an amazing athlete and you've accomplished so much, but you're also such an intelligent person. And for those who have ever spent time on Kilian's website, it is the deepest treasure trove of interesting training information. So I don't think it's fully appreciated, and I would love for you to just kind of express where this interest in sports science comes from in you, and also maybe share a couple of the governing principles of your training for Western States.
Yeah, well, I did study sports science when I was in university, and it's been like always there on me, this interest on like try to understand what we are doing, the physiology, and what's the base of performance. And over the years, I think like often we overestimate like the short-term things, like what's the 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 6 months leading to Western States or leading to that race, and that it has somehow a weight on it, but it's very, very limited. What I think one of the takeaways that I have been more cherishing lately is the importance of health, like of systemic health. So that our respiratory system, our thermoregulatory system, our metabolic system, our renal system, all the cognition, all these systems to be healthy. Because we can train very hard, we can push our limits for short term kind of easily and get like acute responses. But if we want to have like long careers and also to have health, like I would say my goal and my idols is when I see like some guys that they are 80, 90 years old and they still do things. And if you look to the basis of what they are doing, it's basically they have a low stress life and they are moving all the time and doing different efforts like climbing, running, and so they are stimulating all the systems all the time, and they keep some focus, some motivation, some goals. So at the end, I think that's the big base, and that's the base where you can after build like on specifics, like on HIIT training or on like speed specific for the race, or on the neuromuscular specifics or of a race like Western States or like UTMB or like Sur-Zinal. So those are just the icing on the cake, but we need to not forget the base that it's a systemic health. Yeah.
Okay, so going one step deeper on this, you posted on your Strava something that I'm going to ask you to explain for us here. You said biological inertia is greater than specific work. 3 days after an 80K run and in a year where my intensity workouts have been accelerating during long runs, I do a Nesaskla PB, which is your local training hill. The biological inertia of training stimuli is way more important than specific workouts. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, well, How many time do we have?
This is what I mean. It's
yeah.
like you're such an intelligent person. I feel like a lot of us don't have a full appreciation of that.
Yeah,
and we love the education.
Yeah, no, I think that's related to what I was saying before on the way that what we are doing in the moment, it has an impact on the moment, but the body to make an adaptation, what we want to do on training in the long term is to change our biology, like to make that our cells, they evolve and they can support higher stimuli. And that doesn't happen with one session. That doesn't happen with 6 sessions or like with 6 months of a specific session. That happens when you are doing a stimuli that goes to your cells. The cells will adapt to that, and that will make adaptations over time. And this creates an inertia, and that you can see, for example, if you cut a tree and you see like the rings of the tree, the last ring of the tree, if you look at the specifics of that, will not have the influence of the climate of that year or the environmental conditions of that year, but of the previous years. So it's because these stimuli, external stimuli, internal stimuli, are creating a response in a cellular level that it's adapting to that. So when the stimuli it stops, it's still an inertia on that. So you can improve like your speed or your threshold or your whatever that you have been doing for long. Even if you have a long period that it can be 6 months without working it, because the cellular response is still growing there.
So now, as a father of 3 in your late 30s, do you still feel like the same athlete that you were when you were 25, or in what ways have things changed as your life has changed and as your body has changed and as you've aged?
Yeah, no, not at all the same athlete for sure. Like I was talking just before with Frosty here, and like 10, 20 years ago, like we can handle so much more things. Like we could like go to a race and party and then do a race the next day, and it was all fine. And today, like hell no. Yeah. I think need to focus much more on the recovery, on the stimuli, and on the load of everything. And especially like growing up, it's not only that the recovery takes longer, but also that it's much more things going on, like as you mentioned, like family, like being with kids, responsibilities on work. All that is also stress. So you need to take that into account into the training and into the whole load that you are putting. So it might mean that I need to train. I wouldn't say less, because I'm training more hours than before, but I'm racing much less, so trying to keep a bit less stress from that, trying to focus more on the races I'm doing, so I can do longer preparations to be more specific. So I would say that I'm a better athlete today, like if I see the times of what I'm doing, but it's mostly because I try to prioritize more what do I have time to do and where I want to put the effort.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say it's really remarkable and a testament to your greatness that you're back here at Western States in 2025, 14 years after winning the race. And of course, no result is guaranteed, but still being here as one of the favorites in one of the sport's biggest races. You've been just a great example of longevity. And I love this idea of emphasizing personal health and keeping that at the center of things. Pivoting to talking about the Kilian Jornet Foundation, I'd love for you to just share a little bit about the origin story of where you were in your life when you started it and why.
Yeah, I think like as many people that we are here, we love nature, and we are able to do this sport because we have this access to nature, and that we love to be there. I think for me, it's always been about the mountains. It's always been about being in the mountains, and then I found trail running and ski mountaineering as the excuse to be there. But it's never been the center. It's always been like the mountains and those spaces. And I think over the years racing, I saw more the degradation of these spaces, and also that I was a big part of the problem. That through my activity, I was more, even if I loved that and I tried to do things well, I I was, and I'm still part of the problem. So it was more at a point like I started to think, okay, how I can use my influence and my resources to work for that, and we found that the better way was to build a foundation to use more the weight I can have as a public person, as an athlete, and to put work on that. And I think it comes from that, like seeing like the changes, and we are seeing everywhere. Like last year, I was doing a project in the Alps, and I had been living in the Alps for more than 10 years, and going back there after 8 years not living there and seeing how it's been changing on such a short period. And I don't know if you saw, like a few weeks ago, it was a glacier collapsing in Switzerland that it destroyed a whole village, and all the problems that it goes with the water resources. So it's not just that the mountains are beautiful and we need to like preserve them, is that they host the resources that we need to survive. At the end, it's not about like saving the mountain, saving the environment, because that will keep. It's just that we will not be able to live in that world if it's changing that. So at the end, it's like just trying to save us, and also that I think having kids also impacted on that, on the way that for many generations we have been having more opportunities. Like we had probably a better life and better opportunities than our parents had, and them from their parents. And the next generation, I'm not sure. Like they will face challenges that we have not been facing when it comes to all the problems related to the environmental issues, and that goes beyond the resources that we're using, but also when we think about migrations and things like that. It's a big part of that. It comes from climate change and the difficulties for living in those places. So it's more on understanding the problem and trying to do actions to not solve it, but just to work on the direction to have a better future.
So speaking about understanding the problem, to me, when you talk about climate and conservation and things, it's complicated and it can feel kind of overwhelming. Practically speaking, how do you and the team at KJF evaluate the projects that you work on and determine what kind of impacts you want to have?
Yeah, so basically we have like three different ways of working, or three different pillars. One, it's helping science, trying to support science problems, because at the end, we need to understand what is the problem and how we can address it, like, and to find the good solutions, because we can have like the best intentions of doing that, but maybe if we don't have the knowledge of how to address it, we might be doing more harm or just doing something that is very ineffective. So like supporting science and supporting scientists that they are doing assessing or finding solutions for climate change. It's one of the pillars that we are working. Then it's everything that it has to come with education, and that goes from working with the schools. We are working with more than 1,000 schools, and it's to develop long-term programs, not only like to go and do a talk, but like to work during a whole year on different activities with the kids, and also with like grown-ups doing some different projects on talks and activities. Like this morning, we did a run with where we were running and talking about some issues. So like to bring a bit more awareness about the issues and the solutions that we have learned from the scientists. And then is some actions that they are more local and direct. So like it can be here, for example, it's like working on the trails, like how we can do work on the trails to have a more to conserve these places, or it can be like a removal of all the infrastructures. So that's more local projects and issues.
Okay, so now moving to talk about NNormal for a little while. Obviously, you could have been an athlete for any brand in the world. I'd love for you to just share a little bit about what you've learned about the difference between representing a company as an athlete versus actually being in the trenches and building something from the ground up yourself.
Yeah, well, it's true that it's the moment to leave a brand and to start a new project. It's always like difficult for two things. First is to think, yeah, it's much easier if I just stay with a brand and just keep going. It's a good life. I don't need to think about many more things. And on the other way, like to put a new brand, it's also like to think why are we building a brand? Why that can bring something positive into this into the world or into the outdoor industry. And yeah, we believe that we could influence the outdoor industry in a way that it's close to our values, and that's why we started NNormal. And I think the biggest difference is more like on the impact that we have. That as athletes, often we can have some say on product development, on marketing somehow, but being more involved on what's especially that why we are here, why we build a brand, what are the values, what we want to change, what is our mission beyond making good products, and I think that's what makes it super exciting. Also, like that it's it's difficult because it's a lot of brands out there, and everybody's doing a great job. But I think much more on that, like we get inspired from other brands, and I hope that other brands can get inspired from us too.
It's just dawning on me that with a lot of what you do, the quote-unquote three faces of Kilian Jornet are always connected, right? Kilian, the athlete, the foundation, and with NNormal. And actually, your activation this morning is actually a perfect example of that. So maybe you could just speak a little bit about how you keep these three aspects of your life connected in a coherent way.
Well, I think at the base of all, it's that they have the same mission, and that's like what we love. And me as an athlete, what I love is to be in the mountains, is to be exploring out there, is to be and like performing, doing races or doing projects, but also like going to the forest with my kids and just being there, being in nature, being connected, being in the place that we belong. That I believe that it's we are just another organism in the ecosystem. We are not more nor less. So like that's what I want to explore as an athlete, and that's the same with the foundation. It's like how we can do to preserve that, and as a brand, kind of it's we are kind of not that well made as animals to go out in the nature. Like we need clothes, we need shoes. We don't last long if we are like just naked without anything out in nature. So like we need to make some products that we need to go do what we love, but how we can do that on the best way that it's preserving the places we love.
So coming back to NNormal for a second, last weekend El Hussein El Azawi, Joyce and Jeru both won the Golden Trail World Series race at the Broken Arrow 23K. Maybe you could just share a little bit about those athletes and what it means to the brand to have them competing at such a high level, and what they mean to NNormal in general, how they fit within the mission of the organization.
Yeah, I think first that they are very nice people. Like that's what brought them to NNormal, and they are great athletes. But I think also that's because they have talent. They have an enormous talent, and they have passion for the sport. They are doing that because they like to be out, and like Elusin has been growing in the desert, in the mountains. He has been running always there, and you could see that it's just nice people, and they I think it's this connection that they have also between their competitiveness, that they want to perform, and they, like all of us here, that they want to win races, but also they just love that. They just love to train and to be out and to explore that, and I think in the long term that's what is making them like good athletes, and that they can last for long. That both are not having the stress to perform, but just that they know that if they want to be performing at the level that they are doing now, that they have the support for it. And I think we got lucky to know them like for some time and to know the person that are behind the athletes and to bring them to our team.
Yeah. So obviously we set this up as the three faces of Kilian Jornet, but now I feel bad in that as a dad myself, of course you're a father and family man. Maybe as we start to wind down here, the fourth face of Kilian Jornet, being this father and family man, what have you learned about how to be there for your family? What have you learned about how to be a good father, a good husband, and to make all of this work simultaneously?
Well, I think it, and I think all parents, we don't have the answers. We just like roll through the way and we find the answers on the way. And I think the biggest learning has been just try to not compromise, but try to prioritize things. And it's just like we have just that time. We cannot do everything, and to be aware of that and to not try to project ourselves into what's next, but just to live the moment. Like when I'm with my kids, I want to be there with them, and I don't want to be thinking about, I need to do this training session, or I need to answer these mails, or I need to do that. No, it's just like try to see how much time do we need to spend with the family, how much time do we need to spend for training, for work, and then see if everything is possible. And if not, that it's most of the time, it's just like, okay, start to say no, and to, instead of trying to put everything together, just to say, okay, I cannot do everything if I want to do the things fully. So I need to stop doing more things. And just like, for example, like on the weekends, we train very, very little because kids are home all the day and we don't want to go away. We want to be with them, taking excursions, going to the mountain and playing. So then like we do like a very short session, maybe when they are sleeping or resting, and that's all. Like so then we prioritize to have training when they are in the kindergarten. So it's like that, and then doing much less things. Like it's my first travel this year, and probably I will do maybe one more on the year. So I want to be present, and I do like 2 races or 2 projects, and that's kind of all.
It feels like that is connected to this spirit of focusing on your personal health too.
Yeah, because then it's like stress. It's so important on everything. And
don't I know it, bro? Yeah. I can't even run anymore.
But it's we all know, but it's so hard to make it happen. To say, okay, no, I don't have time for that, and I stop doing it. We all know that we need to do it, but we never do it. And it took me like forever. It took me like more than 10 years to realize and to say, okay, no, I don't need to go to that race even if I have the opportunity. I don't need to take that opportunity because I can. It's just like, no, I should prioritize, and just to be able to say no to many things. It's very easy to say. It's very difficult to do. Yeah.
Kilian, we're out of time here, but I just want to, as we close, say on behalf of all of us here, thank you for all the inspiration over the years. It is an honor to have you back at Western States. Good luck on Saturday.
No, thank you, everyone, and good luck to all the runners.